What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Wednesday, August 28th. Tuesday went pretty well, guys. We had a decent start to the day there with the Royals plus 120. We had an injury to Lorenzen. We had a rain delay in that one, but eventually the Royals bats came through and they won that one 6-1. So cashing a plus 120 there feels pretty good. With the Yankees minus 1.5, they let us down big time, guys. A 4-2 loss there, could not get the offense going. We also had the Padres minus 1.5. That was a close one down the stretch, but they found a way there late, thanks in large part to a wild pitch to win 7-5, so cashing a plus 135 on that one. We also had the Giants minus 110, a 5-4 win there despite Webb being pretty bad out there in the bump for the Giants. We also had the over in that Mets-Arizona Diamondbacks game. It was 8-3 there in the top of the 8th inning, and that's plenty to get us over that 8 runs that we needed. We've got the Dodgers in Baltimore. That game's still going on. The Dodgers are down 3-2 there in the bottom of the 8th inning, so them covering 1.5 seems like a bit of a long shot, but it's not impossible. So guaranteed a winning day regardless though, guys. So let's get after it here in the middle of the week. Before we jump into the games, hit that like button. We're giving away 1 week of premium picks at stumpthespread.com to one random person who has liked the video and also left a comment below as soon as we have a video hit 1,000 likes. We've been getting just over 800. We've hit 1,000 in the past, guys. I know we can do it again. You can subscribe to the channel for free to get notifications on our daily uploads, and you can now sign up for channel memberships. We're working on some members perks for the channel, so stay tuned for that and let me know any suggestions you have down in the comments. Our videos are sponsored by stumpthespread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering Major League Baseball, NCAA football, UFC, and preseason NFL, with regular season NFL right around the corner. Click the link in the description if you are interested in signing up, and also to join our free email list to get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Comment below to get in on the giveaway, and with any bets you're looking at today, and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Chicago Cubs going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Cubs come into this game fresh off a solid 9-6 win in Game 1 of this series. They've won the first 2 games of this series. Things are looking good for the Cubs. They are still 9 games back of Milwaukee in the NL Central. They're giving the ball to Kyle Hendricks in this game. He comes into this one 3-10 on the season with a 6.33 ERA, but his last few starts have been much better than that, guys. He wasn't nuts his last time out. I mean, going to Miami, 4-2 thirds innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 0 strikeouts. It seems like the back was acting up a little bit. His start before that against Toronto was pretty good, so we'll give him some credit, but it's very difficult to tell what Kyle Hendricks is going to be like out there on the mound, with his back constantly being the determining factor in whether he has a good or bad outing. In terms of their bullpen, guys, the Cubs have not been terrible at all. Not an elite bullpen, I wouldn't say necessarily, but they're in the top half of the majors. We'll give them some credit there for sure. In terms of their offense, things have been cruising lately. 9, 18, 2, 14, 6, and 10 runs over their last few games. Coming alive at the plate, the Cubs for sure are 15th in the majors in runs scored, 13th in the majors in on-base percentage, and swinging some pretty hot bats. So we'll see what they can do here against the Pirates, who come into this game not having a great time. Losers of 3 out of their last 4. They are 62-70 on the year. Handing the ball to Paul Skeens. Obviously, it's an exciting day anytime we're going to see Skeens on the mound. He's 8-2 this season with a 2.16 ERA. He's coming off a dominant start against the Reds, and he's been lights out in all except for one of his last 5 starts. He had a rough time there at the Dodgers, but generally speaking, Skeens obviously having an incredible season. The Pirates bullpen is having an incredibly bad time right now, guys. A 4.42 bullpen ERA, obviously pretty much a disaster there, so not feeling too good about that, and not feeling great about their bats right now, guys. Either 5, 8, 4, 2, and 6 runs over their last few, and that 8-run game was in an 18-8 loss, so not going to give them a ton of credit for that one. They're 23rd in the majors in runs scored, 25th in the majors in slugging percentage. Brian Reynolds even having a little bit of a rough time recently, so yeah, not a lot of reasons to feel good about this offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Cubs at plus 150, the Pirates at minus 168. We've got over-unders out there of 7.5 or 8. The Cubs are 30-37 on the road. Pittsburgh is 32-34 at home, so yeah, not great teams in this situation. We've got mixed trends towards the over-under as well. I would say under 8 seems a bit appealing if you can bank on, Hendricks having a good outing, but that seems like kind of a big ask to me, so we'll have to see on that one. I also lean maybe towards the Pirates minus 168, but at that price, this is not going in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Kansas City Royals going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. The Royals come into this game fresh off of a 6-1 win there at Cleveland in Game 3 of this series. Thank you very much, Royals. We'll put that one on the board. Lorenzen had to come out of the game early. That did not bother them. They're going to be hitting the ball to Walker in this one. He's 11-6 this year with a 3.32 ERA. He's coming off a great start against the Phillies, and all 5 of his last 5 outings have been very, very solid starts and wins for the Kansas City Royals. So lots of good stuff, to think and see from Walker out there on the mound. He's looking great right now. The Royals bullpen's been having some trouble, but not too much trouble in this series. A 4.39 ERA coming out of the pen overall, though, is definitely something to keep an eye on. The bats have been great recently for the Royals. I mean, 6, 9, and 4 so far in this series. A nice bounce back after 2 rough games to end their series against the Phillies. Obviously, we're seeing great stuff from Bobby Witt Jr. We're seeing good stuff from Salvador Perez. This team is 5th in the majors in runs scored, 6th in the majors in batting average. Like, the Royals can absolutely hit the ball. So we'll see what they can do here against the Guardians, who are having a rough time. They're currently tied with the Royals there atop the AL Central. They're handing the ball to Tanner Bybee, who's been great this season, 10-6 overall with a 3.46 ERA. He's coming off a pretty rocky start against the Rangers, though, guys. 5 2/3 innings, 8 hits, and 4 earned runs against a team like the Rangers. Kind of a bad look. His other starts over his last 5 have been pretty good, but twice against Detroit, once against the slumping Brewers. I'm not in love with how he's throwing the ball right now. Obviously, guys, we love what we're seeing from that Cleveland bullpen. They've been elite this season, a 2.77 bullpen ERA. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. The offense is a major concern for this team, though, guys. I mean, we see Quan continuing to struggle. Jose Ramirez trying to carry the load, but that's a little bit rough. Guys, the Guardians are 12th in the majors in runs scored, but that's a number that is trending down. They're 22nd in the majors in batting average, batting only .237 as a team. This is not really an offense that gets it going here for me, guys. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Royals at +118, the Guardians at -130. We've got over-unders out there of 8. So yeah, that's an interesting number there. The Royals are 33-30 on the road. Cleveland is 40-23 at home. We've got mixed trends here towards the over-under. Guys, in this spot, I definitely like the Royals +118 once again. I like the way Walker's throwing the ball better than I like what I'm seeing from Tanner Bybee. Obviously, the Royals don't have as good of a bullpen, but Cleveland's bullpen probably a little bit wore out for this one. And yeah, speaking of that situation, the pitching situation, I do still kind of like under 8 with these 2 starters on the mound. But guys, I think my lean in this one's going to be the Royals at +118. Can they finish off this sweep? I know it's a big ask, but the way they're playing right now, it definitely seems like a possibility. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Houston Astros going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Astros come into this game fresh off of losing the first 2 games of this series. They got shut out 5-0 in the last one. They're hoping Spencer Arrighetti can turn things around for them. He's 6-11 this year with a 4.94 ERA. His last start was a very, very good one, though, guys, at Baltimore. 6 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs allowed. It was a bounce back after a rough start against the Chicago White Sox. So, yeah, guys, I mean, at 24 years old, he's a young guy. We have to expect some inconsistency. The Houston bullpen, though, has not been inconsistent lately. They've been consistently good. A 3.55 bullpen ERA has them currently 4th in the major leagues. So very little wrong with that. The Astros bullpen definitely coming together here later in the season. The offense is completely gone, though, guys. 0-2, 6, 2, and 5 runs over their last few. They're 13th in the majors in runs scored, a number that is heading down. They're 3rd in the majors in batting average. They've been a great batting average team all season long. That just has not translated into runs. So we'll see what they can do here against the Phillies, who have now won 4 in a row. They are up to 78-54 in the year, cruising along there in the NL East. They're handing the ball to Taijuan Walker, who's 3-5 this season with a 6.26 ERA. His last start against the Royals, guys. 3 innings, 8 hits, 6 earned runs. Not his best stuff. He really hasn't looked too good since coming off of the IL back on the 13th. Just not having a very good time out there. So worried about him. We're also worried about that Phillies bullpen, despite the fact they're looking a little bit better recently. Not a bullpen that I feel like you can trust at all. And the offense is really going to have to carry the load. They've been hitting the ball well recently. I mean, 5, 3, 11, and 11 runs over their last few. We've seen good stuff from Harper. We've seen Castellanos do some good stuff. Trey Turner's putting up good numbers this season. They're 6th in the majors in runs scored and 5th in the majors in batting average. So yeah, lots of good stuff to say about this offense. We'll see if they can carry them to a win here against the Astros, who come into this game at +100. The Phillies are -108. We've got over-unders out there of 9.5 or 10. Houston is 33-32 on the road. The Phillies are 43-22 at home. That's an MLB best home mark. Houston's a pretty big under team on the road. The Phillies are a slight under team at home. So if you wanted to take under 10, just playing those trends, I guess you could, but I don't trust that at all, guys. I'm going to be leaning slightly towards the Astros at +100 in this game, but generally speaking, this is a wait and see spot for me. I don't know what to expect really out of either one of these starters, and at some point the Houston bats have to come alive. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. The Rays come into this one fresh off of a 3-2 win in Game 2 of this series. We don't have a confirmed starter for them yet for this game. Tampa Bay, not a team that's had great starting pitching this season, guys. They are 26th in the majors in quality starts this year, so that's a bit of a concern, but that's a concern that I won't have nearly as much if we end up seeing a bullpen start out of Tampa Bay. A 3.77 bullpen ERA has them in the top half of the majors. This really hasn't been a bad bullpen here down the stretch. The problem for the Rays has been their offense, guys. It's real bad. They've scored 3-1-1-9, 3-1 runs over their last few games. They're 28th in the majors in runs scored. They're 28th in the majors in batting average. Like, there's no way around it. This is just not a very good hitting team. So we'll see what they can do here against the Mariners, who come into this game fresh off of that tough loss. They're 3.5 games back of Houston there in the AL West. They're giving the ball to Luis Castillo in this game. He's 10-12 this season with a 3.66 ERA. His last start was a very rocky one against the Giants. 6 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, including 3 home runs. He struck out 9 and walked 0, but man, he was hittable in that game, absolutely for sure. So we'll see what he can do in this one. If I remember correctly, he has some pretty good history against Tampa Bay this season. Well, some middling history. Back in June, he had a mediocre start against them. So yeah, not necessarily looking like an amazing spot for Castillo. Not necessarily looking like an amazing spot for the Seattle bullpen that's up to a 3.86 bullpen ERA. That's not how you draw it up, guys. That's not really what you want out of your bullpen. So a little bit worried about that. Always going to be worried about this offense, guys. I mean, we saw Arozarena hit a 3-run home run against his former team, in Game 1 of this series, so that's fun. But yeah, guys, this is not a great offensive team. They're dead last in batting average in the majors. They're second to last in slugging percentage. Like, all those moves they made at the trade deadline have not made a huge impact. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Rays at +152, the Mariners at -180. We've got an over-under of 7 in this game. Tampa Bay 31-32 on the road, Seattle 40-27 at home. We've got both teams showing very significant trends towards the under, so if you wanted to take under 7, maybe I could get behind that, but not really, guys. I'm leaning more towards the Tampa Bay Rays at +152 in this spot, given that Castillo doesn't have the best history against them, and while we don't have a confirmed starter for the Rays, I'm obviously going to have to see that before I would put this in the pinned comment, but it's seeming like a live spot to me. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Los Angeles Angels going on the road here to take on the Detroit Tigers. The Angels come into this game fresh off of a 6-2 loss. They've now lost 6 in a row to fall to 54-78 on the year. They're hitting the ball to Griffin Canning in this one, hoping he can turn things around, but he's 4-11 this year with a 5.18 ERA. He is coming off of a great start at Toronto his last time out. Might be his best start of the season. 6 innings, 2 hits, 0 runs allowed. He struck out 6 and walked 0. Unfortunately for him, the Angels still managed to lose that game despite his efforts. But yeah, generally speaking, he threw the ball well in that one. Can we trust him in this game? I don't really think so. The Angels bullpen is also a concern. A 4.18 bullpen ERA is certainly not something you would look at as premium. And we also can't help but notice the last time Canning faced the Tigers, he got absolutely shelled out there. So yeah, definitely some concerns for the Angels pitching staff in this one. In terms of their offense, it's been terrible recently, guys. 2-2-1, 4-3, and 0 runs over the last several games. 27th in the majors in runs scored, 26th in the majors in slugging percentage. This is not a hot hitting offense, guys. So looking at their opponents in this one, the Tigers come into this game. We don't have a confirmed starter for them. They have now won 5 straight games, so that's kind of cool to see the Tigers get to 67-66 on the year. Their starting pitching, generally speaking, is generally the season's put up some pretty decent numbers, but a lot of those are definitely propped up by Skubal and guys like that. They are 12th in the majors in quality starts, so got to give them some credit there. Their bullpen has rounded into form, guys. A 3.96 bullpen ERA, not nearly as bad as they've been at other points this season. So if this happens to be a full bullpen start for the Tigers, I don't think we're going to look at it as a disaster. The big question mark for this team, mostly this season, has been their offense. They've scored 6, 6, 9, 13, and 5 runs over their last few games, though. That's all pretty good news. I mean, having Riley Green back is nice. We've seen Kerry Carpenter do some good things recently. Like, this team swinging some pretty warm bats. So yeah, looking at the numbers for this one, we've got the Angels at +116. We've got the Tigers at -134 in this spot. We've got an over-under of 9 in this one. Generally speaking, guys, I'm leaning towards the Tigers pretty hard in this one. We don't have a confirmed starter for them yet, so not going to be able to put it in the pinned comment until we find out about that. But yeah, right now, with the way Canning has looked against them, I do think this is a pretty good spot to take Detroit playing at home. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Oakland A's going on the road to take on the Cincinnati Reds. The A's come into this game fresh off of a 5-4 win in Game 1 of this series. They're 57-75 in the year, so not exactly headed anywhere amazing, but they've been playing with some pride this season, and they got some clarity on where they're going to be playing next year. They're hitting the ball to Osvaldo Bido, who comes into this game throwing the ball incredible recently, guys. Over his last 4 outings, they've all been starts. He's looked lights out. I mean, even a good start against the Dodgers in there, a good start against the Giants. I mean, he only gave up 1 hit over 6 innings against the Giants. His last time out was against the Rays. 5 innings, 2 hits, only a single earned run. This dude is throwing the ball incredibly well, so definitely have to be excited to see him out on the mound if you're an Oakland fan. Their bullpen has also been excellent, guys. 6th in the majors with a 3.59 bullpen ERA. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. This is a pitching staff that looks like it's in a pretty good spot for this game. The question for the A's pretty much all season long has been, where is their offense going to come from? They scored 5, 4, 5, 3, and 3 runs over their last few games. Brent Rooker has definitely done some good things this season, but there's a reason the squad is 25th in the majors in runs scored and 27th in the majors, batting .231 as a team. Just not really an elite offensive squad. So we'll see what they can do here against the Reds. Speaking of not great offensive squads, who come to this one fresh off of that loss. They've actually lost 4 out of their last 5 games to fall to 63-69 on the season. They're hitting the ball in this game to Fernando Cruz, who comes into this one, guys. This is a bullpen pitcher, so it looks like it's going to be a bullpen start here from the Reds, who are very good out of the pen, 7th in the majors with a 3.60 bullpen ERA. So I honestly don't think a bullpen start is the end of the world here for Cincinnati, since their bullpen has been so good here. But I'm a little bit worried about it. I mean, we've seen Cruz. He's had some ups and downs recently. He's given up some runs and stuff. So we'll see how he looks, and we'll just see how this bullpen overall looks, making this cobbled together start. Generally speaking, how do we feel about the Reds offense? Well, that's been the real thing holding them back this season, guys. They scored 4, 3, 10, 5, and 0 runs over their last few games. They're 26th in the majors in batting average, 23rd in the majors in on base percentage. Just not really an offense that I can trust. I mean, Elly De La Cruz is an amazing guy to watch. Love watching him play, but yeah, you can only do so much as one guy. So we'll see what they can get done out there against the A's. Looking at the numbers for this game, we've got Oakland at -110, the Reds at -104. We've got an over-under of 9.5 in this one. Yeah, guys, we've got both teams showing trends towards the under in this spot. Oakland, 34, 27, and 2 to the under on the road. Cincinnati, 33, 27, and 5 to the under at home. With an over-under that's now all the way up to 10, I definitely think under 10 is very, very much in play in this game. That's got a great chance to end up in the pinned comment. I also like Oakland -110 a little bit. I do think this is going to be a lower scoring game than the odds makers are guessing it will be, and Bito's been pretty good out there, but I do think probably I'm leaning more towards the under than the side in this one. Next up, guys, we've got the New York Yankees going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Yankees come to this game fresh off of a 4-2 loss yesterday. They really let us down in that one. We're going to see if they can bounce back here, handing the ball to Carlos Rodon, who comes into this game 14-8 on the season with a 4.16 ERA. His last start was a very good one against the Rockies. 6 innings, 4 hits, 0 runs allowed. He struck out 5 and walked 1. It was a bounce back after a rough start at the Tigers, but before that he had a very good start against the Rangers. So we'll see how he looks here against a Nationals team that's also not the hardest hitting opponent. How do we feel about the Yankees bullpen? They've been pretty decent, guys. What are they, like 9th or something like that in the majors with a 3.67 bullpen ERA? That's definitely playable. That's definitely workable. Their offense is where the Yankees hang their hats, though, guys, and they were terrible yesterday, scoring only 2 runs. They scored 2, 5, 10, 2, 3, 6, and 8 runs over the last few games. Obviously, Aaron Judge putting up absolutely historic numbers once again. We see the Yankees the second highest scoring team in the Major League Baseball. They are the top on base percentage team in the MLB. They're the second best slugging percentage team. This is an absolutely crazy, crazy good offense. So we'll see what they can do here going up against the Nationals, who have actually won 2 out of their last 3. They're 60-73 on the year, though. So yeah, not heading anywhere important fast. They're giving the ball to Mackenzie Gore in this game. He's 7-11 this season with a 4.51 ERA. He's coming off of a very good start at Atlanta. 6 innings, 7 hits, only a single earned run allowed. That was a game we eventually saw the Nationals lose 3-2. And part of the reason they're having a rough time right now, guys, is that bullpen. It is not very good. A 4.10 bullpen ERA really, really lacking out there. And the offense also hasn't been there historically this season for the Nationals, guys. They've scored 4, 2, 5, 2, 2, and 8 runs over their last few games. They're tied for 20th in the majors in runs scored. They are 24th in the majors in slugging percentage. When your offense is led by Luis Garcia Jr. and CJ Abrams, you're going to have some problems scoring runs at times. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we've got the Yankees at minus 184, the Nationals at plus 158. We've got over-unders of 9 or 8.5 out there. Guys, if you want to take the Yankees in this one, it makes an awful lot of sense to me. I think they're in a solid bounce back spot. I'm expecting good stuff from Rodon. The Yankees are 42-25 on the road this season. It's an MLB best road mark. Washington's only 30-34 at home. We don't have a bunch of big trends here on the over-under, but guys, I do like the Yankees minus 1.5. You take a minus 1.5, you can do it minus 110. I think running it back here on the Yankees makes an awful lot of sense in this one to me. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Toronto Blue Jays going on the road in this one to take on the Boston Red Sox. Toronto comes into this game fresh off of a pretty tough loss there. They lost 6-3 in game 2 of this series. They've been playing well recently. That loss snapped a 5-game winning streak. The Blue Jays are 65-69 on the year, handing the ball to Chris Bassett in this one. He's 9-12 this season with a 4.41 ERA. He's coming off of a pretty, middle of the road start against the Angels. 6 innings, 4 hits, 4 earned runs in that one. Yeah, he's been a bit inconsistent, but put up relatively decent numbers given what he's been expected to do this season. So got to give the guy some credit there. The last time he was out there against the Boston Red Sox, guys, he looked very good over back-to-back starts against Boston. Yeah, nothing to complain about those starts he made back in June against the Red Sox. So expecting good stuff from him in this one. Not expecting miracles from that Toronto bullpen, although it feels like they've been slightly better lately. A 4.82 bullpen ERA is not that, great, obviously, but maybe they're making some moves in a positive direction. The offense has been good recently for sure. They've scored 3, 7, 8, 3, 5, and 5 runs over their last few. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. obviously leading the way here for an offense that is 18th in the majors in batting average, 14th in the majors in on-base percentage. Like, not a terrible offensive team, just a little bit below average. Like, that's how I view the Blue Jays. Not a disaster team necessarily at 65-69 on the year. So we'll see what they can do here against the Red Sox, who come into this game fresh off that much-needed win. That win snapped a 4-game losing streak. They're 9.5 games back in the AL East, so they need every win they can possibly get. They're handing the ball to Brian Bello in this game. He's 11-6 this season with a 4.95 ERA. His last start was a bad one against the Diamondbacks, guys, albeit a tough team to pitch against, but 5 1/3 innings, 7 hits, and 5 earned runs is not a great appearance. His starts before that, over his last 5 were pretty decent stuff. The last time he faced Toronto, though, he had back-to-back starts against them, and neither one was that great. He combined over 8 innings of work over those 2 starts to give up 12 hits and 9 runs. So yeah, not great stuff from him against the Blue Jays. Expecting him to have a little bit of trouble in this one. We're always expecting trouble from that Boston bullpen, guys. A 4.46 bullpen ERA, and not necessarily a bullpen that seems to be on the way up right now. So definite concerns there about the Red Sox, and the offense has been in a bit of a slump. Obviously, they're coming off a game where they scored 6 runs, so that's not terrible. 6, 3, 5, 1, and 2 runs over their last few, though. Not exactly filling me with optimism, despite this clearly being a top 5 or 10 offense in the major leagues. So looking at the numbers for this one, we've got the Blue Jays at plus 125, the Red Sox at minus 138. We've got over-unders out there of 9.5 or 9. Toronto, not a great road team, 31-35 on the road, but Boston is a really bad team at Fenway, guys. They are 29-37 at Fenway this season. That's pretty disappointing stuff. We see both teams showing some very slight trends towards the over in this situation, but guys, the over is not what I'm interested in. What I'm interested in this one is Toronto at plus 125. That seems like a very, very good price to me. Not going to be complaining about that price whatsoever. I think they've got a great chance to win this game, and it looks like it's moved, guys. It looks like it's all the way up to plus 135. So we're going to go ahead and jump on that and give me Toronto in this one. I think they've got an excellent chance to win this game. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Atlanta Braves going on the road to take on the Minnesota Twins. We see the Braves come into this game playing well, fresh off of an 8-6 win, a tough one there against Minnesota in Game 2, but they've now won 5 out of their last 6 overall to get to 72-60 on the year. They're handing the ball in this game to Chris Sale. That's got to be a pretty good feeling, guys. He's 14-3 this year with a 2.62 ERA. His last time out was a pretty solid start there, guys. He did give up 9 hits against the Nationals, but only allowed 2 earned runs over 7 innings, so good stuff once again. He's looked lights lights out over his last 5 starts. Really nothing too much I got to say here about Chris Sale. The dude is having a fantastic season. So we'll see if he can keep things rolling here. I mean, I expect him to pretty much. We'll also see what we get out of that Atlanta bullpen. They've been great this year. A 3.30 bullpen ERA has them 3rd in the majors, and they've been right around 2nd or 3rd in the MLB basically all season long. So yeah, a very good bullpen. The question for this team has been, where is the offense going to be at? And recently it's been excellent, guys. They've scored 8 and 10 runs over the first 2 games of this series. Yeah, Ozuna is the one that's got to kind of carry the load for this offense, but right now everybody's hitting the ball, it feels like. They are 18th in the majors in runs scored, 17th in the majors, batting .242 as a team. So, like, you know, over the season, their numbers maybe not too eye-popping, but right now they are swinging some very, very hot bats. So we'll see if they can keep that rolling here against the Twins, who come into this game losers of 3 in a row. They're going to be hitting the ball to David Festa in this game. This young 24-year-old is 2-3 on the year with a 5.20 ERA. His last start was not a great one against the Cardinals, guys. 3 innings, and 3 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 3 earned runs allowed. His start before that against the Rangers was a bit better. You know, that wasn't a terrible start. So we've seen some good, we've seen some bad. That's kind of what you expect to see here from a guy who's only 24 years old. In terms of their bullpen, what have we liked from, Minnesota recently? I mean, it hasn't been a disaster. A 3.89 bullpen ERA isn't, the bottom of the barrel here, but it's also not amazing. I have some question marks about this bullpen. We'll see how they look here at the end of this series, and we'll also see how the bats look, guys. Going against Sale is no easy task. They've scored 6, 6, 2, 6, and 1 runs over their last several games. This offense may be a little bit banged up. I think this is clearly a top 10 offense, 8th in the majors in runs scored, 8th in the majors, batting .253 as a team. Like, this is a squad that can hit the ball. Don't get me wrong, guys, but I do have concerns about them. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Braves at -140, the Twins at +120. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. Atlanta 35 and 32 on the road. Minnesota 37 and 27 at home. We've got mixed trends here for the over-under, and I mean, with an over-under of 7.5 and these two teams going at each other, I would maybe lean a bit towards the over, but guys, I really like Atlanta -140 in this spot. That seems like an extremely, extremely reasonable price when you've got Sale on the mound. Moving right along here, guys, we are looking at the San Diego Padres going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Padres come into this game fresh off of a 7-5 win there at St. Louis in Game 2 of that series. They've now won 3 in a row and 4 out of their last 5 overall to get to 76 and 58 on the year. They're 3.5 games back of the Dodgers in the NL West. They're giving the ball to Joe Musgrove in this game. He's 4-4 this year with a 4.43 ERA. His last start was a very good one against the Mets, guys. 7 innings, only a single hit, and struck out 9 in that one. So yeah, dominant stuff. And he's looked very, very good over his last 3 appearances here since coming back to the big leagues. Definite good stuff from Musgrove. We'll see what he can do in this one. We'll also see what we get from that Padres bullpen that's been trending in a positive direction for quite a while. A 3.92 bullpen ERA, while it doesn't look amazing, is much better than this team was dealing with at other points this season. So we'll see if they can keep going here against a team like the Cardinals, not the toughest opponent. The Padres bats have been pretty hot, guys. 7-7, 3-1, 7 and 3 runs over their last several games. They are 9th in the majors in runs scored. They're the top batting average team in the majors, batting .265 as a squad. Like, there is lots of reason to like what we're seeing right now from the Padres bats. So they'll be hoping they can keep things rolling here against the Cardinals, who come into this game fresh off of those back-to-back losses. They've dropped 3 out of their last 4. They're handing the ball to Andre Palante, who's 6-6 this year with a 3.84 ERA. His last start was a very good one against the Twins, and honestly, over his last 5 starts, 4 of them for sure have been very, very good, including good starts against the Dodgers and the Kansas City Royals. So yeah, this young guy has been one of the rare bright spots for the Cardinals this season. Palante looking very, very good. The Cardinals bullpen has also been good, guys. A 3.62 ERA coming out of the pen. Very little wrong up with that. They've shown some inconsistency, I'm not gonna lie. Not a bullpen that I trust the most, but they've done some good things. So I'm happy with how that's working out for them. In terms of their offense, guys, the Cardinals have scored 5, 4, 3, 0, and 6 runs over their last few. Honestly, pretty good numbers for an offense that is 24th in the majors in runs scored and 22nd in the majors in slugging percentage. Obviously, Contreras being out with that broken finger is a real bad look for an offense that needs absolutely all of the production that it can get. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Padres at -116, the Cardinals at +105. We've got over-unders out there of 8.5 or 8. Generally speaking, in this game, guys, I mean, with San Diego being 37 and 26 on the road and the Cardinals being 33 and 31 at home, I'm leaning a bit towards the Padres -116 in this game, but maybe even more than that, guys. I think I like under 8.5. The Padres are actually an under team on the road. The Cardinals are just barely an over team at home. We've seen tons of offense so far in this series. I think this could be a day that the hitters kind of take off and where we see very good stuff from these two starters. Moving right along here, guys, we are looking at the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. The Giants come into this game fresh off of a 5-4 win there in Game 1 of this series. They're handing the ball to Kyle Harrison in this game. This young 23-year-old has had quite the season. He's 7-5 overall with a 4.00 ERA. His last start was an excellent one, albeit against the White Sox, but over his last 3 starts, guys, he's been very, very solid. And I would say over 4 out of his last 5 outings, he's been very good out there. So expecting pretty good stuff from Kyle Harrison in this one, despite his age. What do we expect from that Giants bullpen? Well, that's a little bit of a different story, guys. Somewhere around 22nd in the majors with a 4.19 bullpen ERA. Not exactly what you want to see, but also, they haven't been terrible here lately, so we'll give them a little bit of credit. In terms of their offense, guys, the Giants are very middle of the road. They've scored 5, 3, 4, 5, and 2 runs over their last several games. They're 16th in the majors in runs scored, 16th in the majors getting on base at a 311 clip. This is just a strictly middle of the road offense, which isn't always a terrible thing, guys. We'll see what they can do here against the Brewers, who have now lost 2 in a row. They're 75 and 56 on the year with a 9-run cushion over the Cubs there in the NL Central. They're giving the ball to Freddie Peralta in this one. He is 8-7 this year with a 3.86 ERA. He's coming off of a very good start against the Cardinals, and honestly, his last couple of starts have looked very, very good. So yeah, maybe Peralta kind of back on track here. He's had his ups and downs this season, absolutely no doubt about it. So we'll see what he can really do in this one. I'm expecting pretty good stuff from him in this game, to be honest, and I'm also expecting great stuff from that Brewers bullpen. They're currently first in the majors with a 2.74 bullpen ERA. That bullpen unit for the Brewers just keeps on seeming to get better. The problem right now for Milwaukee is, where is the offense? Obviously, Yelich being out sucks, but they've got to be fairly used to that at this point. They've scored 4, 3, 9, 11, 0, and 6 runs over their last few games. They're down to 10th in the majors in runs scored, 13th in the majors in slugging percentage. This is just not that super scary Brewers offense that we're used to seeing earlier in the year. So looking at the numbers for this game, though, guys, we've got the Giants at +135, the Brewers at -154. We've got over-unders out there of 7.5 or 8. San Francisco's only 28 and 37 on the road. That's not amazing. Milwaukee is 38 and 24 at home. Guys, we've got both teams showing trends towards the under here. Kind of an interesting spot. I mean, the Giants 37, 25, and 3 to the over on the road. That's pretty interesting. And Milwaukee, 35, 21, and 6 to the over at home. Guys, with a 7.5 out there, go ahead and give me the over. I mean, Peralta has looked relatively hittable this season, generally speaking. Kyle Harrison, while he's had his moments, is a young guy. He could give up 8 runs all on his own if things break the wrong way. So, yeah, I think over 7.5, some very good value in this game. If you want to bet the side, I would say go ahead and give me the Brewers. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Texas Rangers going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox. The Rangers come into this game fresh off of, seeing that game yesterday get suspended. We're going to be talking about Game 2, or kind of the second game they're going to play today. They're going to play an early one at 4, then they're going to play this one as the night game. So this is the one that we're talking about. We're talking about that night game there with the pitching matchup looking like it's going to be Jack Leiter against Chris Flexen here. The Rangers 60 and 71 on the year, not headed anywhere important. Leiter comes into this game 0-1 on the season with a 16.39 ERA. Yeah, all 3 of his appearances this year were pretty rocky, but those were way, way back in the beginning of the season. So they're hoping this 24-year-old can kind of turn the page and come out here and have a good outing against a team like the White Sox. In general, guys, they're going to need him to do well because that bullpen has not been good. A 4.45 bullpen ERA. That's a bad enough bullpen. You could even give up some runs to a team like the White Sox. And the Rangers, guys, they're going to need to hold teams pretty low because they've scored 2, 5, 5, 1, and 0 runs over their last few games. Obviously, Corey Seager out there doing his thing. He's had a good season, but is that enough to carry this team? Absolutely not. So we'll see what they get from their offense in this one, going up against the White Sox, who come into this game looking like they're about to get after another long losing streak. They're handing the ball to Chris Flexen, who is 2-12 on the year with a 5.34 ERA. His last start was a pretty good one against the Tigers. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs allowed. Unfortunately for him, he pitches for the White Sox, so of course they eventually lost that game, just like they did in all of his last 5 appearances. So we'll see what he can do. We'll also see what that White Sox bullpen can do. A 5.10 bullpen ERA has them second worst in the major leagues, and this offense has been atrocious, guys. 30th in runs scored, 30th in on-base percentage, 30th in slugging percentage, and 29th in batting average. So just not a lot of good things for me to say here about the Chicago White Sox. They are absolutely terrible. So looking at the numbers of this game, we've got the Rangers at -184, the White Sox at +154. We've got an over-under of 9 out there. I don't know if this +154 is going to last very long, guys, but you might honestly want to take a look at taking the White Sox to win this game, given who the Rangers are putting on the mound. But really, guys, this just seems like a stay-away game to me. I mean, it's way too expensive of a price on the Rangers, and with the starting pitcher they're putting out there, we don't know what we're going to get. So, yeah, I'm going to be staying very far away from this one. If you're forcing me to bet it, I guess give me the White Sox, but yeah, I really don't want to bet this game. Next on the docket, we've got the Miami Marlins going on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. The Marlins come into this game fresh off of a crazy 9-8 win there, 5 runs there in the 9th inning against that terrible Rockies bullpen. The Marlins are 48-84 on the year, though, not having a good time. They're giving the ball to Max Meyer in this game. He's 3-3 on the season with a 5.44 ERA. His last several starts have all left something to be desired. I mean, his last time out, 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs against the Cubs. Not a disaster, but giving up 2 home runs in each of his last 2 games is not really a great look. So we'll see what we get out of him in this one. We'll also see what we get out of that Marlins bullpen that's not trending in a positive direction, guys. A 4.10 bullpen ERA for a bullpen that was at one point this year well above average. Doesn't really feel too good. And the offense, while they are coming off of a game where they scored 9 runs, really hasn't been great this season or great recently. They are 29th in the majors in runs scored, 29th in the majors in on-base percentage, 27th in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, it turns out getting rid of your best offensive player at the trade deadline, that's going to make your team worse. So we'll see what they can do here against the Rockies, who are also not having a very good season at 49-84 on the year. They're coming off of that tough loss. They're getting handing the ball to Kyle Freeland, who's 3-6 this year with a 5.70 ERA. His last start was a decent one against the Yankees, guys. 6 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs in that one. They were both home runs, so that's not ideal. But yeah, not somebody that's been terrible throwing the ball. What has been terrible is that Rockies bullpen. Last in the majors, a 5.60 bullpen ERA. Pretty weak sauce there. So we'll see what the pitching staff can do for the Rockies. Not expecting miracles, and we'll also see what the bats can do. They've scored 8, 3, 3, and 9 runs over their last few games. They're tied for 20th in the majors in runs scored, 15th in the majors in batting average. Like, keep in mind, folks, these are numbers that are amassed thanks in large part to this team getting to play half their games at Coors Field. So these numbers should be much, much bigger if you wanted me to have any respect for this team at all. So looking at the numbers of this game, we've got the Marlins at +108, the Rockies at -125. We've got over-unders out there of 10.5 or 11. Miami, really bad road team, 22-40 on the road. Colorado, 30-31 at home, so that's relatively respectable. We've got both teams showing trends towards the under here, some pretty significant trends, and with an over-under out there of 11 and 2 at least semi-competent pitchers on the mound, I think under 11 is a decent play in this game, but I couldn't fault you too much if you wanted to, take the Marlins at +108 or the Rockies at -125. In my opinion, the value in this one is under 11. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we're looking at the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Mets jumped out to an early lead and won 8-3 in Game 1 of this series. They're 69-63 on the year, handing the ball to Luis Severino, who's 9-6 this season with a 3.84 ERA. His last start was a very, very good one against the Padres, guys. On the road, 5 innings, 5 hits, only a single earned run. In a game we eventually saw the Mets win 8-3. His start for that, he was a lights out in a complete game, 9-inning shutout against the Marlins. So, yeah, expecting decent stuff from Severino. Not sure how deep he'll go into this game, though, which raises the question of what we can expect from the Mets bullpen. A 4.05 bullpen ERA definitely leaves a ton of room for improvement. I won't say they've been horrible lately, but I would say this bullpen has not been amazing. So we'll see what they can do out there. We'll also see what kind of offensive production they get. They've scored 8, 2, 7, 0, and 8 runs over their last few games. Very hot or cold up there. We've seen good stuff from Lindor and Pete Alonso this season. The Mets are 11th in the majors in runs scored, 9th in the majors in on-base percentage, so definitely some positives there. We'll see what they can do against the Diamondbacks, who come into this game fresh off of that tough loss, a loss that snapped a 6-game winning streak. The Diamondbacks are 75-57 over all 3 games back of the Dodgers in the NL West. They're going to hand the ball to Eduardo Rodriguez in this game, who's 2-0 this season with a 3.94 ERA. He's going to be making only his 4th start of the season, but all of his first 3 were very good, and they were all games we saw the Dodgers win by at least 1, but usually 2 runs. So yeah, definitely good stuff from Rodriguez coming into this one. I think he'll have a decent time against the Mets. In terms of their bullpen, the Diamondbacks have been trending in a positive direction for quite some time. They're down to a 4.09 bullpen ERA, which, while that's not like stunningly good or anything like that, it's drastically better than what this team has seen early in the season. So that's got to feel positive. And also, guys, the Diamondbacks bats have to feel very positive. Maybe not so much after coming off a game where they only scored 3 runs, but this is maybe the best offense in the majors. First in runs scored, second in batting average, second in on-base percentage, and top 5 in slugging percentage. So yeah, this is an absolute murderer's row of a roster, guys. I'm expecting them to put up runs against pretty much anybody. And looking at the numbers of this game, we've got the Mets at plus 102, the Diamondbacks at minus 120. We've got over-under out there of 8.5. The Mets are 32-30 on the road. Arizona is 37-26 at home, so very good home numbers. We've got both teams showing trends towards the over, and with an over-under of only 8.5, I could get behind the over for sure. But guys, I really like Arizona minus 120 in this spot. It's definitely got a shot to end up in the pinned comment. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Rodriguez. I'm not liking what I'm seeing from Severino right now. And even though he hasn't faced the Diamondbacks this season, I don't think that's going to be a big deal for their hitters. I'm expecting big things from Arizona in this one. Last but not least, guys, we're looking at the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the LA Dodgers. The Orioles come into this game fresh off of a 3-2 win in game 1 of this series. That was kind of annoying for us. Baltimore's 77-56 on the year, only 1 game back of the Yankees in the AL East. They're handing the ball to Corbin Burnes in this one. He's 12-6 this year with a 3.28 ERA. He's coming off of back-to-back horrible starts, guys, getting shelled by Boston and shelled by Houston. So we'll see if he can get back on track here. I definitely have my questions about trying to get back on track against a team like the Dodgers, but we'll just have to see. The Orioles bullpen has been a big problem here down the stretch, a 4.10 bullpen ERA. Definitely plenty of room for concern about that bullpen, and some concern about the offense coming off a game they only scored 3 runs. They've scored 3, 3, 3, 7, and 0 runs over their last few games. We've seen good stuff from Gunnar Henderson this season, but he's been slumping a bit lately. And yeah, guys, this team is still first in the majors in slugging percentage and 3rd in runs scored, but this offense kind of having a rough time. So we'll see what they can do here against the Dodgers, who come into this game 78-54 on the year, fresh off of that tough loss. They've got a 3-game cushion in the NL West. They're going to be handing the ball in this one to Walker Buehler, who's 1-4 this year with a 6.09 ERA. His last start was not a great one, guys. It was against the Mariners. 4 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs surrendered. That is not what you want to see from this guy in this spot. I mean, Walker Buehler, 30 years old, time to kind of put up or shut up, and it's been a bit of a struggle recently. In terms of their bullpen, the Dodgers have been solid all year long, though. No major worries there. They're 5th in the majors with a 3.57 bullpen ERA. And the offense, while it's maybe not killing it recently, coming off a game they scored 2 runs, this is one of the best offensive teams in baseball behind Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani. Like, this is an elite offensive team. They're 4th in the majors in runs scored, 10th in the majors in batting average, and 4th in the majors in on-base percentage. So expecting pretty good stuff from them. Looking at the numbers of this game, we've got the Orioles at plus 100, the Dodgers at minus 115. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Baltimore 37-26 on the road. The Dodgers are 43-22 at home. That's an MLB best home mark. In terms of the overall, guys, we see that Baltimore is actually a big over team on the road, and the Dodgers are an over team at home. And the way these two guys are throwing the ball, I think over 8.5 is a fantastic play. And this one, I honestly can't believe it's still that low. Is it still that low? It looks like it very much is. Looks like 8.5 is what they're going for. So guys, go ahead, sign me up for the over 8.5 in this one. I don't love how either pitcher is throwing the mound, and we've got throwing the ball on the mound, and we've got 2 high-powered offenses. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.